During seminary, I took an Introduction to Islam course, which included the religion's vast history and diaspora of Muslims from Mecca to Africa through the slave trade and into the United States. In addition to historical texts, we read the autobiography of Malcolm X, discussed protests, and how Islam influences hip hop artists. And because I love all things mystic, I have continued to learn about Sufism, specifically the Sufi interpretations of the 99 names of Allah. For those of you interested in linguistics, and I am too, the roots of Arabic words and sound codes offer interpretation of the 99 names with metaphor in the physical world. And that's what I'm meaning by a physical shift in the energy of our bodies when we are thankful. Now, I'm no Islam expert, and I want to avoid the appearance of appropriation. So let me share what I'm learning as a novice, a student, and someone whose heart opens when I learn and talk about what I'm studying. The Muslim understands the characteristics of the divine through Allah's many names. Another way to understand it is that the divine names are the names of all the things that Allah teaches Adam, the first human. These are characteristics all human beings must come to know and understand in this lifetime, as they are the essence of all creation. And to understand them truly and deeply is to know God. Sufi teaching expresses the reciprocal love of Allah and creation. In my studies, Allah, God, and the divine are used interchangeably, although sometimes Allah is referred to as beloved. The Sufi teaching expresses reciprocal love through the elements in the world that humans understand, what we experience, touch, hear, and feel emotionally, physically, mentally. For example, the divine names of Al-Wahhab, divine blessing continuously and universally, are Razak, the one providing the means to get what is needed, and Al-Fatah, to begin and open. They all have the same sound code in Arabic, which conveys continuous activity. One interpretation of how these names puzzle themselves together for understanding is through the metaphor of a free gift of rain. So first rain, and then the water flowing into irrigation ditches that can be used on crops, and then the opening of the body and the heart to the harvest that comes from the crops. So those are three conjoined divine names that create this feeling of opening and then receiving. And then once we seekers visualize the simpleness of the metaphor and the recitation of the names, we deepen our knowledge of the divine characteristics. So what it means to be given so many earthly blessings, what it means to be provided for, and then to use the gifts that have been provided, and then open our heart to the infinite possibilities of the divine presence. What we see in this example of knowing names is that divine gifts exist for us in the physical world. Once we open to this world and to the gifts and are grateful for them, our hearts connect with Allah's mercy and love for all living things. And further, our complete gratitude allows us to bring our own gifts into the world, which creates a reciprocity of gratitude, generosity, and abundance. Well, before exploring more about the family of divine names associated with gratitude, I'd like to linger on the ideas of gratitude and abundance in terms of the Thanksgiving holiday. I recall holidays past with my grandparents where there was always too much. A turkey, a ham, a duck, 5 pies, every legume grown in the summer garden. Everyone had seconds. The feeling of abundance is a good thing, a blessing. And yet, Thanksgiving often becomes an act of gluttony, which isn't the finest of American traits. Taking more than one's share, taking more than is needed. Gluttony is why many Indigenous people refer to Thanksgiving as a day of mourning. A professor at my school dubbed the day Thanksgiving to hold the tension between our deep love and gratitude for friends and family celebrated this day and the cruelty of colonization. Now, I worry that the tension between gluttony and sparseness this Thanksgiving for many families in the United States will be too much. It makes me angry to know that people are hungry when the Oval Office is gold trimmed and a ballroom is being built in the people's house for a select few. The optics are just horrible. And yet, luckily, my family, I won't feel the same way as the estimated 42 million will feel. There's tension there, and I'm sure you feel that tension as well. Years ago, when I worked with AmeriCorps programs, I learned of an Oxfam fundraiser dinner hosted in Vancouver, Washington. I don't remember the cost, perhaps 100 or 200 a plate. It was a typical fundraiser event. You arrive and the dining room is set with white tablecloth and beautiful place settings, and people chose where they would sit. The front of the ballroom was set with a large screen and a podium, and the guests would listen to a lecture while eating their dinners and then hopefully be moved to write additional checks. Well, my friend told me that in order to drive home the disparity of wealth and poverty in our world, the hosts selected at random only a small percentage of people to have the full dinner. And I don't recall what it was, but to visualize, let's just say roast beef with cream horseradish sauce and scalloped potatoes, French green beans. And those dinners arrived first, placed before the few lucky diners. And next came bowls of clear soup and a slice of bread to a larger group of diners. And then finally, a small ramekin of cooked rice for the majority of those seated. I heard that people cried at the understanding, and that the roast beef people pushed their plates aside in shame. And then that some people felt angry and tricked, hoping that the point had been made and then the real dinners would be brought out after. But no additional food came. People were reminded that they could grab fast food on the way home or eat from their stocked pantries. The people who were there said that they had never forgotten it and that they are forever grateful for its impact. Such a small thing. One night, one dinner. It makes me wonder if I should skip dinner one night this week to feel what it feels like to be hungry, to work all day or study at school and have nothing to eat before bed. I don't know what it would prove, only to remind me what a blessing it is to have all that I do. Even when I look around my apartment and wish for more or better, the water runs freely, hot and cold. And we're warm in the winter and we're cool in the summer. And there's plenty to eat in the cabinets and fridge. Remember those times during the pandemic when panic drove people to over-purchase for fear of being without? I hated those early days. That anxiety caught up with the anger at the empty shelves, at people taking more than they should. We became a people discontented, feeling lack in our lives. We couldn't remain full. In the Sufi book I study, Physicians of the Heart, noticing what isn't available is the work of the ego. It hardens around itself and alters our view on everything around us. We become our own obstacle in noticing the gifts in our lives, our gratitude. And we miss the sense of abundance we experience when we open ourselves to the graciousness that we are always receiving. The divine name Yah Hamid means that all praise and gratitude returns to the source, Allah, and the roots of this, Hamd, also means that gratitude emanates to all living things. It's that reciprocity I spoke about earlier. The Quran says that rows and rows of birds know their own sense of hamd, and that each bird sings their own diverse understanding of gratitude. I just think that's so beautiful. I can't look out at the rows of birds on the back fence and not hear them singing each their own individual praise of gratitude to the divine. Ya Shakur is one of my favorite of the 99 names. It is the form of gratitude that pierces the hardest of hearts. It pierces through that ego. It pierces into the deepest of wounds. Thinking of Scrooge or the Grinch. One of the most beautiful aspects of Ash-Shakur is that one of its roots has the physical meaning referring to breasts filling with milk, and then that incredible sensation a mother has when her milk lets down. The breastfeeding mother turns her attention inward, gratitude for God, for the baby, for the abundance of milk, and for the beautiful blessing of feeding one's young. Shakur expresses to humans that the universe is like that mother breast, nourishing us physically, mentally, emotionally. When the milk lets down, so does the veil between our ego and divine reality. The names Ya Hamad and Ya Shakur are repeated to dispel within what one feels, that dissatisfaction at the incompleteness of the world, that feeling that there's never enough. So what does it mean to be satisfied and contented? What does enough mean? I watched my mother-in-law savor bowls of mashed potatoes, her favorite, and hot black coffee when she was dying. And the day before she died, she ate a whole box of chocolates. Was that enough to satisfy the cravings for one more day of life? Visiting the world through the example of someone dying is a blessing, and I'm not saying that to be morbid. Let me offer an example. One morning, my mother-in-law, her name was Sharon, but we referred to her as Grandma. One morning, Grandma instructed me to put her wheelchair by the shelf where she kept her records, to uncover the record player from where it was buried under boxes of adult diapers. And one by one, she pulled out records and handed them to me. Side 1, third track, she had them memorized. Second side, last track, Bette Midler, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Simon and Garfunkel, on and on. We played music, and loud too, because her hearing had gone due to the radiation treatments. And for hours that morning, Grandma sat in her wheelchair with her eyes closed and her chin up, drinking in the words and the beats. The music filled our bodies. And that's the closest I've ever been with her. Just the two of us. And Barbra Streisand and Bob Dylan and Joan Armatrading. I don't have to wish for one more day with Grandma, because that was the day, the one I'm remembering with you, and it was so good. It takes a lifetime to practice our view that we are always receiving what we need from the universe, that we are in a state of abundance right now, not before, not tomorrow or the next day, right now. What can be enough in this life? We'll always want one more smell of the baby's neck, one more look at the ocean, one more bowl of mashed potatoes. Or will we? Perhaps the blessing of being satisfied is being fully present to where we are with the people around us, like here this morning. There will never be a configuration of people, music, and verse as there is today in this room and online. Even this day is unique unto itself. Each leaf has budded, grown, and greened, turned bright orange and then brown. It will wave in the wind and fall. We are like those leaves, or like those birds in the line in the verse of the Quran, with our own relationship to the universe, with our own song of thanks. Each of us receives the divine blessings, and each of us is loved for exactly who we are. How can we not be deeply grateful? Let's hold one another in recitation of the divine names. You can close your eyes if you want, or simply let your vision soften, and you can join me in the chant if you'd like. And we'll do them each 3 times. May the universe nourish and support you, Ya Hamad. May the pain of your heart and your deep sadness be soothed, Ya Shakur. Ya Hamad, Ya Shakur. Ya Hamad, Ya Shakur. Ya Hamad, Ya Shakur. Amin. Thank you.